This is nothing. This is merely a moment in time, right? A moment in time. And it's quick. It's quick. Hey, what's going on, Inner Wealth Champions? I know it's been a minute, but welcome back. You checked in with Ameer and Naseer. And before we get started with today's video, family, as always, I wish you all inner wealth, which we know is the overall state of our holistic health, family. And so in today's video, I'm going to discuss signs. And I'm going to discuss how you know you're an inner wealth champion, right? Because I throw that word around, inner wealth champions, right? But that's the community that I'm building here, right? Community of individuals who understand what inner wealth is. They are in fulfillment of this inner wealth because it is a continuous journey. And so in today's video, I just simply wanted to discuss signs or how you know you're an inner wealth champion. Because you may not know that you're an inner wealth champion, but you fit the description, right? You fit the lifestyle, you fit the consciousness, you fit the mindset, right? And so, of course, I always lead with that our inner wealth is the overall state of our holistic health, right? And so in order to achieve optimal wealth and inner wealth, it's important to understand at its root is really an internal job first. It's an inside job first. It is a spiritual job, right? And it's a wealth that is not known to this earth, right? It is a wealth that can only be accessed through God, through the spiritual realm, right? And so our inner wealth is spiritual first, because everything else we experience on this earth, right? In the physical, it's a result of our internal world. As a result of our spiritual health. It's a result of our relationship with God. It's a result of our relationship with ourselves. When factoring all of these things, on the pursuit of optimal health. So optimal health is the dynamic balance between all areas and dimensions of our health. That's our spiritual health, our emotional health, physical health, mental, intellectual, I think I already said physical, emotional, social, environmental, and financial health. So all dimensions of our health combined. The dynamic balance between all those dimensions of health leads us to sustaining optimal health, right? And then once we arrive at optimal health, we have truly unleashed our inner wealth. But remember, our inner wealth is an inside job first. So it requires us to dig within, do the inner work, face ourselves daily, face ourselves, face our past, face our present, right? And it requires us to do the work on ourselves, to free ourselves from the shackles of oppression, from the shackles of this matrix known as earth, from the shackles of worldly desires and pleasures and distractions, right? Because we are eternal beings, right? Eternal, divine, spiritual beings. And for men, you are the masculine expression, right? You are divine, eternal, divine, masculine, spiritual beings. For women, you are eternal, divine, feminine, spiritual beings, right? And so we are eternal beings, right? And we know that God promises us eternal life when leading a righteous life, when adhering to God's laws and the laws of nature. And so, again, I did want to provide context before I even get started with how do you know you're an inner wealth champion, right? And so now let's get into how do we know we're an inner wealth champion. So number one, you will know you're an inner wealth champion when you start to prioritize the small things in life, right? So prioritizing the small things and understanding that the small things in life mean the most. The small things in life are actually big deals, right? It's a huge deal, but often in such a hustle culture world, in such a capitalistic world, the small things are overlooked because everyone is busy chasing something or some things outside of his or herself. When we know the kingdom of heaven and we know that God lives within us, so we already have access to heaven. It's within us. We just have to access it. We just have to unleash it, and we have to find it. And we find it by having knowledge of ourselves, by spending time, intentional time with God, intentional time with ourselves, right? So these are one of the earliest signs that you know you're an inner wealth champion, right? Is that you are in this space where you seek and you love and you pay attention to the small things in life. Leading me to my next point in signs, and how you know you're an inner wealth champion. You begin to let go of worldly desires, worldly pursuits, and worldly pleasures. So when we let go of worldly desires, worldly pursuits, and worldly pleasures, we're leaning in more with our spirit. The worldly desires, pursuits, and pleasures only clogs our spirit. It only distracts us, right? It distracts us from what really matters while we navigate this lifetime on earth. This is nothing. This is merely a moment in time, right? A moment in time. And it's quick. It's quick. You know, it's so quick. You know, I can only imagine. I don't want to get sidetracked, but it's quick. We all know life is quick, right? And so this is a moment in time. This is just a small snippet of just our eternal evolvement, you know, as we continue to navigate life. Because I think it's important to understand that life is not only physical, life is spiritual too. So we, beyond this experience, we still live on. For those who are righteous, for those who prioritize God, right? So we understand that this is just a physical experience. This body is just physical, but we understand that it's much deeper than what life is, much deeper than what merely meets the eye. Our existence is much deeper than what merely meets the eye. Our purpose is much deeper than what merely meets the eye. Everything is much deeper than what merely meets the eye, right? And so, again, giving up those worldly desires, pursuits, and pleasures, you know, and this ranges from a lot of different things. I can go down a laundry list of things that is considered a worldly pleasure pursuit, right? And actually, I will in another video, but for the purpose of today's video, I'll keep it concise. But yes, so with these worldly pursuits and pleasures, when one feels convicted and when one gives up these things, that's because one understands that it doesn't provide. Worldly pursuits and desires and pleasures can never fill a void that is spiritual, can never fulfill our spirit's needs, right? Because a spiritual void cannot be pacified, or it cannot be healed or cured through physical pleasures or worldly pursuits. It actually makes the spiritual void that much deeper, right? A spiritual void can only be filled, can only be healed through divine intervention, through spiritual healing, through self-work, through holistic internal healing, right? And all of these activities require spiritual work. It requires mental work. It requires emotional work. It requires work that is intimate with God and self. And that is something that a worldly desire, pursuit, or pleasure cannot solve. It simply cannot solve something that is much deeper than, again, what I said earlier, meets the eye, right? So this is another sign. You're an inner wealth champion. You begin to let go of worldly desires, pursuits, and pleasures because you understand life is much deeper than worldly activities, right? So my next point, number 3, another sign that symbolizes you are an inner wealth champion, you adopt a holistic approach to sustaining a healthy lifestyle. Again, you adopt a holistic approach to sustaining a healthy lifestyle. So in other words, you begin to understand that your approach to health, our approach to health, right? It's holistic. Our health is not something that is independent. It is not something that is separated from other aspects of our being and our living. Again, everything is holistic approach. What foods are we ingesting in our body or consuming? Are these foods that a king would eat? Are they foods that a queen would eat? Are we loving our bodies and respecting our bodies? Are we taking the time to go get that massage? Are we taking the time to go meditate? Are we taking the time to go bathe? Are we taking the time to go exercise, right? Are we taking the time to really nourish our body? What are we feeding ourselves mentally? Are we reading? Are we engaged in conscious and intellectual thought and discourse? Are we reading? What are we reading? Are you listening? Are we listening to worldly or demonic music? Are we listening to negative, news or fake news, fake media, demonic media, right? What are we ingesting in our spirit with that regard, right? So all these different things, even our emotional health, do we have a great system for managing stress? Do we have a great system for managing our own emotions? Do we have, self-control, right? And the list goes on, but again, this point, we realize and we adopt a holistic approach to sustaining our health, right? A holistic approach with regards to sustaining a healthy lifestyle is another sign that you're an inner wealth champion, because you understand that life is holistic. Our existence is holistic. Everything is holistic because everything is connected in some way, shape, or form, right? And I could go down a rabbit hole with this, but even when you think about every little thing that exists within God's creation, it is always a part of a bigger system, always connected to something else. So again, this concept of holistic is everywhere around us. It's everywhere around us, right? And so the fourth point I want to make the fourth point I want to make with regards to knowing you are an inner wealth champion, right? You begin to let go of self-sabotage. Again, you begin to let go of self-sabotage. So self-sabotage is a lot of things. It could mean emotional eating. It could mean not prioritizing time, spending time with God, not prioritizing spending time with yourself, not prioritizing your health, maybe not adhering to a consistent sleep schedule. And I'm definitely talking to myself with that one. So it could be emotional eating. It could be any activity, thought, belief, behavior, or attitude that limits one's potential, limits one's faith and one's work and one's journey, right? So self-sabotage can look a lot of different, it can come in a variety of forms, right? But again, just this letting go of self-sabotage and letting go of old ways, old beliefs, old relationships, whether it was romantic or friendships. Again, it's all included in this idea of self-sabotage. But once we let go of self-sabotage, that is a clear indication that you're an inner wealth champion, because now you understand your wealth really lies in your health, and self-sabotage is one of the greatest threats to our health, because now We're inflicting our own wounds. We're inflicting our own pain. We are, delaying our own progress through self-sabotage. And the quicker we let go of self-sabotage and overcome it, the quicker we are able to navigate through our healing journey, the quicker we're able to start living, abundantly, and not in a monetary sense, which that does come with the territory, but really abundantly in terms of our focus, mental clarity, peace of mind, internal health, spiritual health, physical health, mental health, emotional health, all dimensions of health, right? We begin to experience just an evolvement all over from the inside out, holistically from the inside out. And so this is another clear sign that you're an inner wealth champion, is just the letting go of all things, thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, attitudes, and relationships that all entail with this concept of self-sabotage, right? And so lastly, my fifth point I want to make about how you know you're an inner wealth champion is that you begin to prioritize knowledge of self. And knowledge of self with regards to connecting with your spiritual origins, even your cultural, earthly origins, and your origins of existence and your purpose for existing. So knowledge of self encompasses a lot of different things. And knowledge of self can only be obtained through solitude and time spent with God and self, because these are the moments and times where we receive the most revelations, we receive clarity and peace of mind about God, about ourselves, about our journey, about why we're sent here. And through this knowledge of self, we're also able to heal, right? Some wounds will be healed. Some revelations will be made clear. Your inner child will be healed, right? Your past and present and future will make sense, right? Because it's actually all one. But we only understand this once we arrive at knowledge of self. And so knowledge of self is the ultimate way to sustaining one's inner wealth and divine power. Because once we have knowledge of self, we cannot be manipulated. Once we have knowledge of self, we live life, truly live life, and not merely surviving or getting by, but actually living, actually thriving. And so knowledge of self and this pursuit of knowledge of self in and of itself is a clear indicator that you're an inner wealth champion. And all of these signs that relate to you knowing, me knowing, and us knowing that we're inner wealth champions all have a common theme. And that common theme is that we understand life is much deeper than what merely meets the eye, and life is much deeper than this earthly existence. And we understand that our worth as spiritual beings having a physical experience is not attached to anything of this earth. And that's why we're sent here, because we already have our worth with us, right? We don't have to prove our worthiness. It's already in us. We possess inner wealth. We possess spiritual wealth just by merely existing. And we're sent here to exude light, love, and peace, serve humanity, fulfill our soul's divine purpose, fulfill God's prophecy. I know I mentioned serve humanity previously, and to restore light, peace, truth, justice, and harmony back to Mother Earth, So again, this is the common theme, is that we understand life is much deeper than what merely meets the eye, and we are concerned with true substance that cannot be bought, substance that is not surface level, it's not superficial, but it's just something that is understood within, right? And so I just wanted to share a few things with you all, a few signs that correlate with knowing you are an inner wealth champion. And you may have not even known it, right? And so again, family, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And I just want you all to always remember your inner wealth is the most important form of wealth, because from our inner wealth, we attract and we fulfill our greatest and deepest visions and desires that are righteous in God and in and of ourselves. And our health is our most prized and precious gift, because without it, we can't do anything. Our health is of the utmost priority and is of the utmost importance. So I leave you with this, family. And until next time, I wish you all inner wealth, which we know is the overall state of our holistic health family. Peace.